Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Aile Muntle and I'm an art teacher and also a visual artist if you're joining us for the very first time. So I wanted to say Happy New Year, but we're wrapping up March, so I'm not going to do it. But anyway, this is my first video for the year. So I thought let me just quickly do one before we wrap March. And I wanted to shoot about 2 3 weeks ago, but I just got busy and it kind of fell through the cracks. And so last week, or just a few days ago, I received a DM of a person who was interested into getting into the arts industry. By that, they wanted to become an arts manager. And so they were basically asking how to become an arts manager or the things that they need to know since they're going to be venturing into a new space. And I thought, yeah, let me just do a short video based on that rather, as opposed to possibly oversharing certain things that might not be useful. And I like it when people interact because then I know what I need to respond to. And so I can prep up for that and just specifically delve into it and talk about just that. So, and yeah, so today's topic is basically becoming a visual artist manager, okay? And I'm specifically saying visual artist manager because if you're saying you're going to become an art manager, it could be broad. It could be a musician, it could be choreographer, it could be managing a gallery. There's so many things in the art field which one can actually venture into and become a manager. And so I thought of a few things to talk about. And also, please remember, this is my experience. So some things you might agree with, some you might disagree with, which is fairly okay. But this is just uh, based on my experience and what I've seen. And also, I've been a gallery manager before. I am a visual artist, and I've also had a manager. So, first thing is first, managing anything um, requires time, okay? And this is one of the things we don't talk about that often. And so if you're going to be managing anything, it's the first thing to consider is time. One, do you have the time to manage another person, specifically if you are also creative and possibly could be doing your own other things. And also time in a sense that managing someone means also reminding them of certain things, okay? And also be mindful of deadlines when things are due, because just like any other industry or space, there are deadlines and things that need to be done maybe like a month before. If maybe your visual artist is going to have a solo exhibition, for example, they'll most likely start 2 3 months before. If not, shows sometimes, uh, because just like any event space, things might change in the last minute. So time is very important. So you need to learn how to manage your time, especially if this could be either your side hustle to start off, which also requires a level of professionalism as well, or if you're going to be doing it full on. So when you wake up in the morning, what are the daily routines or daily things that you need to consider as managing someone else? Okay, so that's very important. And because once you submit things late, then you lose on an opportunity, right? And also you're going to be working with other businesses which are also very time pressured. Okay, so always consider time if you're going to start off being a visual artist manager. Okay, and then secondly, money, right? Every business requires money. And I'm going to say business because, yes, it's a lovely space to be in. People are lovely. And it's art, cool creatives and all of that. But you have to manage a visual artist as a business. So if I were you, I'll read up on a few things on business, and uh, this is just my experience and how I do business, but I would advise you to just do some research on business and how that works and how you would also want to maneuver around it. So treating something which is creative as a business isn't as complicated, just that as creatives, maybe that's not our forte, or maybe that's not our go to, because we want to be creative, be left in our corners and do our own thing. But also, you're going to be managing someone who is like that. So you should be mindful that that person should be also treated in a business manner. But business also doesn't necessarily mean strict and boring. but it just means having things written on paper, having a contract already, having conversations on how to either negotiate on a contract, and also just the logistics of it, how to transport things and all of that. So, meaning also if you're going to be handling payments, making sure that the tax is paid up and all of that. So, money is one of the topics that creatives usually shy away from, which I feel as a creative, that's one thing you should actually master. We've heard, or rather heard of stories where creatives have either been manipulated into signing certain things, for certain things rather, or because they're not really mindful of. So being a manager for an artist is quite an important role, because it means you are also keeping the relationships with the people who are either wanting to buy, spend money on a brand, or collaboration with the brand, with the visual artist. So you need to be comfortable around money. You need to be comfortable about having conversations about money. With that said, you need to then also sit down and speak to the person that you're going to work with about payment. Are you going to get paid monthly? Are you going to get paid hourly? So have a conversation about how that looks like, because just like any business, specifically with the visual artist, sometimes there aren't any shows, right? Sometimes the artist is selling, right? But sometimes the artist isn't selling. So have conversations also about when there is no money, how should you go about it, right? And also that will give you a sense of where they are with their careers. Are they starting off? And I'm gonna say this, even though I don't like this term, and I actually shared something about it on my Instagram stories recently. If that artist is also an emerging artist, okay, so maybe you will decide how that looks like. But in my words, or rather my understanding and in my terms rather, um, are they starting off like, is it year one as a visual artist? Is it year two or year three? So just have the conversation about are they selling out? Are they partnering with other galleries so that does not interfere with the relationships? Are there contracts in place? Is that visual artist maybe an independent visual artist? Or are they just going to pay from their own pocket with the hopes that you also build onto their brand? Or you're going to have to talk about, I'm going to pay you per artwork, I'm going to pay you based on your delivery, or I'm going to pay you based on what you're also bringing to the table. And that is very important, because you have the visual artist who might be emerging or is established, and you have maybe a person starting off as a manager. So how much would you pay someone who's starting off as well, as opposed to someone who's been managing visual artists under a gallery maybe for years? Obviously time counts in that sense as well. Or are you also as a manager coming in expecting to be paid a certain amount of money monthly, period, and you won't be doing anything else but just managing, okay, like any other side hustle, as in like there's no other income? So those are conversations you should have with your visual artist or the person you want to manage. And also, just like any almost said corporate, any business, there should be things put in place. So have a contract. And I know some people, when they start off, there's no contract. They start off with the desire to be in the space, which is beautiful, and I'm here for it too. And I celebrate people who start off wanting to be in new spaces. But have a contract in place. Have someone else to read on it. Go online, Google a contract. If you have friends who are lawyers, ask them to read through it, and then have an agreement with the visual artist that you're going to manage. And this is just to avoid any problems in future, specifically with money or percentages, when you don't get your money, or anything that is related to any hiccups that could happen, because it is a business and you are starting off. So there will be maybe certain things like that that might come up. And then also with that, agree. So most galleries would have a contract with the visual artist, and then decide to have like a 50-50 share, which is half, I get half of the money and the other gallery gets half, and obviously there's tax. So discuss where your percentage is going to come from. I'm assuming from the visual artist. So if I get half, let's say, of 100K from a 200 artwork, for example, right? And I'm just going all and above because why not? Why not? And with that 50% of the visual artist, are you then taking 30 because you brought them to the gallery? Did you connect them, or are you taking 50 or 20? So have a conversation about the percentage of amount of money either you're going to get monthly, or per sale, or per artwork when I say sale, or per art fair, or per gallery, or anything. So I have conversations about that. And this is why I like this question, because so many things can fall through if certain things are not in place. So definitely have a contract between yourself. And also, are you looking into managing more visual artists? Will that now lower your percentage per artist or per artwork? Or are you just going to invest in that one specific visual artist to manage? Okay, and then what else? Relationship. So I know this one you might think, is it important? Maybe it might not be relevant, but you are going to be matching a human being, you are going to be matching a person, right? And also you're going to be working with other brands, meaning working with people. So if you're going to be managing a friend, sit down and be able to create boundaries between the relationship between yourself as a friend or the person you're managing. I'm assuming you would like to manage someone that you know, or at least have worked with. If not, do some research, okay? And why are relationships important? Because people do business with people. So it only makes sense to also have a conversation on boundaries, okay? And this is also where the business elements comes in to say, from a business perspective, this is what you think, or not necessarily from a friendship level, but always be professional with the person that you're going to manage. And also, um, relationships are important because you're going to be dealing with other brands, which are people. And so be very clear about what you want for your visual artist, and be clear also about what you want for the relationship. When I say that, I mean, do you guys want to either become the greatest brand in South Africa, or do you want to take it international, or do you want to become the biggest brand in Africa? Do you want to become the biggest brand in the world? So have a clear vision, so that the relationship from the get-go has a solid foundation in terms of where you're going as a visual artist manager, and also where you want your visual artist to go to, because it is a partnership, right? And yeah, be kind to people as well, answering emails and calls and all of that, because the art world is very tiny too, which makes it easy to move around, but also you want to stay connected within the circle, because some things might fall through, maybe let's say in year one, but in year five, those say people might come back to you and say, hey, we heard that you're managing this person, we like how you're managing them, would you also want to manage the gallery? Also, would you want to manage the art fairs? Would you want to manage a biennale, for example? So have a very clear understanding of your place in people's business or position, so that you become a very successful and healthy manager. Yeah, and also another thing, uh, uh, presentation. And when I speak about presentation, remember you are managing another person, so how you appear to people also counts. Your appearance, being well groomed, counts as well. And I know people might just overlook this part, but when you meet someone else's manager, they are also a representation of the artist themselves, also vice versa. So that is important. Which spaces are you in? Are you attending are you attending art fairs? Are you attending talks? Are you seen? Are you representing yourself well? And are you speaking well of the artist? And remember, no one really knows what's going to happen in the future, right? But do you have a clear vision, and is it showing in the manner in which you present yourself? If you are big on, for example, a vintage, and I know this is also on a superficial level, but is that the type of person you're representing? Is it more of a different level of brand or different level of class? That also matters. And I'm not saying go now buy Gucci or Dior or anything like that, but I'm saying being well groomed is also important, because you're not representing yourself, but you're also representing the person you're going to be managing. And then lastly, because I don't want this video to be too long, and I also would love to hear people's questions, please do DM questions, and then in that way I'll be able to directly have a conversation or answer based on what I know. And lastly, be mindful that it's a job. And I know this one is a bit tricky because it's a fun, creative space, but it is a job. So that also means that being at meetings at the correct time, showing up is very important. Showing up for your visual artists too at shows, okay? Answering calls, answering emails. Are you going to also be handling the artwork? Are you going to be transporting maybe artworks from Europe to South Africa? Are you going to be interacting with other galleries within Africa or just internationally? So you're in the forefront of also making this brand also a success. So it's not just a person, but it's also a brand. And then lastly, just be kind to people. Be kind to the artists you're going to be managing. Create relationships, not necessarily because you're going to need them or get anything, but because it's part of just you're working with humans, right? And just make sure that you consider that too as you venture into the journey of managing. What I wanted to say was also take care of yourself and take care of your visual artists as well, and normalize having conversations and having meetings on what to expect, what you guys are working towards, and have just one big vision on what you guys want to venture into as a couple, meaning as the person you're working with. Okay, thank you so much. I hope this was not too long, and I hope this was helpful. And I wish any person who'd like to venture into the arts world or managing a visual artist success. And please also anytime pop questions and we'll see how we work about it. And yeah, I think I'll end it there because I'm blabbing now. And yeah, thank you so much. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.